Reading through the Bible in 1 year, September 4th, 1 Samuel 28, 1 Corinthians chapter 9, Ezekiel 7, and Psalm 45. Now it happened in those days that the Philistines gathered their armed camps for war to fight against Israel. And Achish said to David, "Know assuredly that you will go out with me in the camp, you and your men." And David said to Achish, "Very well, you shall know what your servant can do." So Achish said to David, "Very well, I will make you my bodyguard for life." Now Samuel was dead, and all Israel had lamented for him, and buried him in Ramah, his own city. And Saul had removed from the land those who were mediums and spiritists. So the Philistines gathered together and came and camped in Shunem. And Saul gathered all Israel together, and they camped in Gilboa. And Saul saw the camp of the Philistines and was afraid, and his heart trembled greatly. So Saul asked of Yahweh, but Yahweh did not answer him, either by dreams or by Urim or by prophets. So Saul said to his servants, "Seek for me a woman who is a medium, that I may go to her and inquire of her." And his servant said to him, "But behold, there is a woman who is a medium at Endor." Then Saul disguised himself and put on other clothes, and he went, he and 2 men with him. And they came to the woman by night, and he said, "Divine for me, please bring me up for whom I shall say to you." But the woman said to him, "But behold, you know what Saul has done, how he has cut off those who are mediums and spiritists from the land. Why are you laying a snare for my life to bring about my death?" Then Saul swore to her by Yahweh, saying, "As Yahweh lives, no punishment shall come upon you for this thing." Then the woman said, "Whom shall I bring up for you?" And he said, "Bring up Samuel for me." And the woman saw Samuel and cried out. I just lost my spot. And cried out with a loud voice. And the woman spoke to Saul, saying, "Why have you deceived me? For you are Saul." And the king said to her, "Do not be afraid. But what do you see?" The woman said to Saul, "I see a divine being coming up out of the earth." And he said to her, "What is his form?" She said, "An old man is coming up, and he is wrapped in a robe." And Saul knew that it was Samuel. And he bowed with his face to the ground and prostrated himself. Then Samuel said to Saul, "Why have you disturbed..." Then Samuel said to Saul, "Why have you disturbed me by bringing me up?" And Saul answered, I am greatly distressed, for the Philistines are waging war against me, and God has turned away from me, and no longer answers me, either by the hand of the prophets or by dreams. Therefore I have called you, that you may make known to me what I should do." And Samuel said, "Why then do you ask me, since Yahweh has turned away from you and become your adversary? So Yahweh has done accordingly as he spoke by my hand. For Yahweh has torn the kingdom out of your hand and given it to your neighbor, to David. And you did not listen to the voice of Yahweh and did not execute his burning anger on Amalek. So Yahweh has done this thing to you this day. Moreover, Yahweh will also give over Israel along with you into the hand of the Philistines. Therefore, tomorrow you and your sons will be with me. Indeed, Yahweh will give over the camp of Israel into the hands of the Philistines." Then Saul quickly fell full length upon the ground and was very afraid because of the words of Samuel. Also, there was no strength in him, for he had eaten no food all day or all night. And the woman came to Saul and saw that he was terrified and said to him, "Behold, your servant woman has listened to your voice. And I have taken my life in my hand, and I have listened to your words which you spoke to me. So now also, please listen to the voice of your servant woman. And let me set a piece of bread before you, so that you may eat and have strength when you go on your way." But he refused and said, I will not eat. However, his servants together with the woman urged him, and he listened to them. So he arose from the ground and sat on the bed. And the woman had a fattened calf in the house, and she quickly sacrificed it, and she took flour and kneaded it and baked unleavened bread from it. And she brought it before Saul and his servants, and they ate, and they arose and went away that night. Now 1 Corinthians chapter 9. If you remember at the end of the last chapter, Paul starts steering into a new idea. Let me read the last verse here for you. Speaking about food sacrificed to idols, which we're free to do, right? Because if you understand that that there's no truth in an idol is just a thing, that there is that there is only one God, and that's our Lord. Then if you sacrifice something to an idol, you're just sacrificing it to a piece of wood or a piece of clay or a piece of stone or whatever it happens to be. And that there's no value in it. You're not imparting any value to the thing that was sacrificed. You're just killing something and eating it. So we know that that's true. However, for some people, for young, new Christians, it may be a while before they can come to embrace this truth. So for them, it may be sin for them to partake in these things while God is leading them through, again, what we call progressive revelation, where God is revealing to people the truth of his nature and the truth of what it means to be a Christian over a period of time. So it's sin if you lead somebody to pursue something that for you and your Christian liberty is not sin, but it is sin if you lead them into something before God has so prepared them. This is where we pick up in verse 13. Therefore, if food causes my brother to stumble, I will never eat meat again, ever, so that I will not cause my brother to stumble. He's showing that he will release himself from the possibility of sinning by simply pursuing his Christian liberty. He can forsake that, knowing full well that this is helping a young Christian. He continues that thought here in verse 1. Am I not free? Am I not an apostle? Have I not seen Jesus our Lord? Are you not my work in the Lord? If to others I'm not an apostle, at least I am to you, for you are the seal of my apostleship in the Lord. My defense to those who examine me is this: do we not have authority to eat and to drink? Do we not have authority to take along a believing wife, even as the rest of the apostles and the brothers of the Lord? And Cephas, also known as Peter, he had a wife. Or do only Barnabas and I not have authority to refrain? Do only Barnabas and I not have authority to refrain from working? Who at any time serves as a soldier at his own expense? Who plants a vineyard and does not consume the fruit of it? Or who shepherds a flock and does not consume the milk of the flock? Am I speaking these things according to human judgment? Or does not the law also say the same things? For it is written in the law of Moses, you shall not muzzle the ox while it is threshing. Is God merely concerned about the oxen? Or is he speaking altogether for our sakes? Yes, for our sake it was written, because the plowman ought to plow in hope, and the thresher ought to thresh in hope of sharing the crops. If we sowed spiritual things in you, is it too much if we reap material things from you? If others share this authority over you, do not we more? Nevertheless, we did not use this authority. He's using his own life as a practical example for living as a servant leader, separating himself from the things which are due him, so that it doesn't cause them to stumble. That's the point he's making here. Continuing on. Nevertheless, we did not use this authority, but we endure all things so that we will cause no hindrance to the gospel of Christ. Do you not know that those who perform sacred services eat the food of the temple? And those who attend regularly to the altar have their share from the altar. So also the Lord directed those who proclaim the gospel to get their living from the gospel. But I have used none of these things. And I am not writing these things so that it will be done so in my case. For it would be better for me to die than to make anyone, rather, than it would be better for me to die than have anyone make my boast an empty one. For if I proclaim the gospel, I have nothing to boast, for I am under compulsion, and woe is me if I do not proclaim the gospel. For if I do this voluntarily, I have a reward. But if against my will, I have a stewardship entrusted to me. Well, what then is my reward? That, when I proclaim the gospel, I may offer the gospel without charge, so as not to make full use of my authority in the gospel. For though I am free from all, I have made myself a slave to all, so that I may win more. To the Jews I became a Jew, so that I might win Jews. To those who are under the law, as under the law, though not being myself under the law. Why? Because we're under the law of Christ, so that I might win those who are under the law. To those who are without the law, as without the law, though not being without the law of God, but under the law of Christ, so that I might win those who are without the law. To the weak I became weak, so that I might win the weak. I have become all things to all men, so that I may by all means save some. So I do all things for the sake of the gospel, so that I may become a fellow partaker of it. Do you not know that those who run in a race all run, but only one receives the prize? Run in such a way that you might win. Now, everyone who competes in the games exercises self-control in all things. Then they do it to receive a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. Therefore, I run in such a way as not without aim. I box in such a way as not beating the air. But I discipline my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others, I myself might not be disqualified. Bringing up the rest of the notes here for you. There we go. Now, Ezekiel chapter 7. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Now, as for you, son of man, thus says the Lord Yahweh to the land of Israel, an end. The end is coming on the four corners of the earth. Now the end is upon you, and I will send my anger against you. I will judge you according to your ways, and put all your abominations upon you. For my eye will have no pity on you, nor will I spare you. But I will put your ways upon you, and your abominations will be among you. Then you will know that I am Yahweh. Thus says Lord Yahweh, a calamitous evil, a unique calamitous evil. Behold, it is coming. An end has come. The end has come. It is awakened against you. Behold, it is coming. Your doom has come to you, O inhabitant of the land. The time has come. The day is near. Confusion rather than joyful shouting on the mountains. Now it is near when I pour out my wrath on you and spend my anger against you and judge you according to your ways and put on you all your abominations. My eye will show no pity, nor will I spare. I will give to you according to your ways, while your abominations are among you. Then you will know that I, Yahweh, do the striking. Behold the day. Behold, it is coming. Your doom has gone forth. The rod has blossomed. Arrogance has budded. Violence has grown into a rod of wickedness. None of them shall remain, none of their multitude, none of their moaning, nor anything eminent among them. The time has come. The day has arrived. Let not the buyer be glad, nor the seller mourn, for wrath is against all their multitude. Indeed, the seller will not return to himself what he sold as long as they both live. For the vision regarding all their multitude will not return empty, nor will any of them strengthen his life by his iniquity. They have blown the trumpet and made everything ready, but no one is going to the battle. For my wrath against all their multitude, the sword is outside, and the plague and the famine are inside. He who is in the field will die by the sword. Famine and the plague, or pestilence, the threefold destruction of God, will also devour those in the city. Even when their survivors escape, they will be on the mountains like doves of the valleys, all of them moaning, each over his own iniquity. All hands will hang limp, and all knees will become like water. And they will gird themselves with sackcloth, and horror will cover them, and shame will be on all faces, and baldness on all their heads. It's not saying that being bald is a bad thing. It's saying from people pulling out their hair in fear and shame. Verse 19, they will throw their silver into the streets, and their gold will become an impure thing. Their silver and their gold will not be able to deliver them in the day of the fury of Yahweh. They cannot satisfy their soul, nor can they fill their stomachs, for their iniquity has become an occasion of stumbling. They transform the beauty of his ornaments into pride. They made the images of their abominations and their detestable things with it. Therefore I will make it an impure thing to them. I will give it to the hands of the foreigners as plunder, and to the wicked of the earth as spoil, and they will profane it. I will also turn my face from them, and they will profane my secret place. Then robbers will enter and profane it. Make the chain, for the lands of the for the land is full of judgments that promote bloodshed, and the city is full of violence. Therefore, I will bring the most evil of the nations, and they will possess their houses. I will also make the pride of the strong ones cease, and their holy places will be profaned. Anguish has come, and they will seek a place, but there will be none. Disaster will come upon disaster, and report will be added to report. Then they will seek a vision from a prophet, but the law will be lost from the priest and counsel from the elders. The king will mourn, the prince will be clothed with desolation. The hands of the people of the land will be dismayed. According to their way I will deal with them, and by their judgments I will judge them. And they will know that I am Yahweh. Concluding today in Psalm 45. My heart overflows with a good theme. I address my verses to the king. My tongue is the pen of a skillful scribe. You are fairer than the sons of men. Grace is poured upon your lips. Therefore God has blessed you forever. Gird your sword on your thigh, O mighty one, in your splendor and majesty, and in your majesty ride on victoriously, for the cause of truth and meekness and righteousness. Let your right hand teach you awesome things. Your arrows are sharp. The peoples fall under you. Your arrows are in the heart of the king's enemies. Your throne, O God, is forever and ever. The scepter of uprightness is the scepter of your kingdom. You have loved righteousness and hated wickedness. Therefore God, your God, has anointed you with the oil of joy above your companions. All your garments are fragrant with myrrh and aloes and cassia. Out of ivory palaces, stringed instruments have made you glad. King's daughters are among your noble ladies. At your right hand stands the queen in gold from Ophir. Listen, O daughter, and give attention and incline your ear. forget your people and your father's house. Then the king will desire your beauty, because he is your Lord. Make sure we don't lose notes here. Verse 11. Then the king will desire your beauty, because he is your Lord. Bow down to him. The daughter of Tyre will come with a present. The rich among the people will seek your favor. The king's daughter is all glorious within her chamber. Her clothing is interwoven with gold. She will be led to the king in embroidered work. The virgins, her companions who follow her, will be brought to you. They will be led forth with gladness and rejoicing. They will enter into the king's palace. In place of your fathers will be your sons. You shall set them up as princes in all the earth. I will cause your name to be remembered from generation to every generation. Therefore the peoples will give you thanks forever and ever. That's all for today. That is all of the text and also all of the reading. Notes. All of the notes. There we go. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. Behold the word of the Lord.